And thanks everyone for coming out. This is great to see so many people interested in clean fuels in Northeast Florida. JEA is the 7th largest municipal utility in the country, so we stack up pretty well when you compare us with other municipal utilities, but when you compare us to IOUs, we're pretty small. And nonetheless, we figure that we play a large role in what happens in Jacksonville and Northeast Florida. We're very interested in facilitating sustainability, and we have been for a long time. JEA is a founding member of the North Florida Clean Fuels Coalition, and one of the reasons why we are so committed to sustainability in the North Florida Clean Fuels Coalition is that we believe that sustainability also includes financial sustainability of the Northeast Florida region. So as we see ourselves as not only a provider of electric, water, and sewer services, we are indeed also a facilitator of business within the community. So we always look to keep that central to our goals. I'm going to walk around a bit. So we are committed to use case scenarios, right? Northeast Florida Clean Fuels Coalition is always looking at the best use case. The business case is what Ben just talked about, is central to what we would recommend to our customers as well. We're strong advocates of electrification when it comes to reducing environmental pollutants in the air and greenhouse gas emissions. That stuff is central to what we do, but we know that the big driver is really when you get down to bullet number 4, which is the lower total cost of ownership. That's when the needle in the balance takes a quantum leap, and we see the inflection point probably only about a year from now for light-duty vehicles. And I'm going to draw your attention to this study on the right here. This is Atlas Atlas Public Policy is a group that publishes a lot of aggregated residential and fleet electric vehicle information. They look at and have access to registration data from around the country. So they published last year a look at the top 10 or so light-duty vehicles that are sold in the United States in 2023, and the total cost of ownership for those vehicles if you purchase the electric or if you purchase the fossil fuel version. And what they came up with this one, and the reason why I'm showing this one is twofold. One is this is, I believe, the #1 compact vehicle is a Toyota Corolla LE. That vehicle, if you purchased that, kept it for 7 years, and compared the total cost of ownership with the Chevy Bolt EUV during the same period for the same 7 years, you would have saved 25% if you'd gone electric. So just to point out that the inflection point for these light-duty vehicles and passenger vehicles is here, right? And manufacturers have said that they would be concentrating in the near future on more economical cars. They see a market now and concentrating on smaller vehicles that can be electrified easily with a good use case. But I don't want to jump over what the major reason that we're here, and that is battery electric vehicles emit 0 side emissions, right? So we talk about particulates that come from diesel, you don't get that from electric vehicles. Electric power generation is the second phase, if you will, of electrification, and that is cleaning up the generation sources. So at JEA, we're busy trying to consolidate, get rid of the old fossil fuel and high carbon fuels that we used to burn and replace them with green fuels in our generation mix. We have a pledge to be 30% low or no carbon fuels in our generation mix by 2030. That's a heavy lift for us. we always have to on the most marginal or the most affected people, because with each of those increases in fuel cost comes an increase in rates to the most vulnerable people. So as a stakeholder in Northeast Florida, we're always trying to make that perfect balance there, where we can do the best we can with the allotted funds. So transportation is also on the critical path to atmospheric decarbonization, and that's that two-step process. It's connecting to the grid and cleaning the sources of generation that will get us to where we need to go. So I want to tell you a little bit about two programs that we have that are transportation electrification programs. The first one is JDA Drive Electric. It's a residential program, and it's focused mainly on education and awareness. So we have a robust website that people can go to and do things like figure out what vehicle would be best for their use case, as well as determine where, if that vehicle is available. That's been an issue over the last couple of years, is where can I find the vehicle that I want? Some of the most popular ones are hard to find. So we have a tool on site that will help people actually get connected with local dealerships that have the stock that they want. One of the things that I really like about our residential program is that we have, using our own grid assets, we have smart meters that are attached to everyone's residential home. So we use those smart assets to manage an EV off-peak charging program. And how it works is, once you purchase an EV and you have it in our service area, you can sign up for a voluntary program, and we look at your home meter data, we monitor it, and if you'll agree to pay during off-peak hours, which are after 10 p.m. and before 6 a.m. on weekdays, and anytime on the weekends, if you agree to do that, we'll pay you $7 a month back, right? So we pay a nice little stipend. It's not going to make anybody rich, but you know, you get that quarterly payment into your Venmo or your PayPal, and maybe you go out to eat every now and then on the proceeds. But we have a lot of positive goodwill that's built from EV owners as they participate in the program. It gives them a rallying point. We have some great big events that bring people out. We have one coming up next month. I'd like to see everyone here, and you'll hear more about that later. But the residential program, like I said, focused mainly on education and awareness through the website, through the EV expert that can actually walk people through their own use case scenario, because we don't want to land people in an EV if it's not the right use case for them. So if you came to us and said, hey, I drive, you know, hundreds of miles a day, then probably at this state of the technology, we're not going to recommend an electric vehicle. We'd rather help you get into the vehicle that you need. Second program I want to tell you about is fairly new. It's been in operation now for a little over 6 months, and this is our fleet electrification program. And Ben has done a great job, RS&H and Clean Fuels has done a wonderful job of surveying the large fleets in our service area. And those are the fleets that, for a utility company, are typically off the radar, because these are not the largest electric users. We're used to, some of these customers will check in because they have large electric, water, and sewer bills, but for the most case, some of these fleets are distribution companies that don't have big utility bills. Well, that's going to change as their fuel source of choice matriculates from diesel fuel over to electricity in many cases. So we wanted to get involved with potential fleet owners right away, upstream, because we want to engage them in the conversation about what does it take to electrify your fleet? Is there a use case there? And we want to talk to them about some really key things like the timeline, the infrastructure. What do you have now? What are you planning to do? What do you need to put in the ground in order to make that happen over the years? So we put together a program, and we also realized that in putting it together, fleets don't come in as a one-size-fits-all. You have fleets that are huge with vast engineering expertise like Amazon, all the way down to fleets that could just be a couple delivery vehicle or a pest control company or something with a few light-duty vehicles. So some requiring engineering expertise, others just need information on when can you get the infrastructure for us to start going. So we developed a path for each of those types of businesses. The service level 1 is basically a self-service for those companies that have a lot of engineering expertise. They can use our online total cost of ownership calculator if they'd like, or they just engage with JDA Planning directly, and we determine when we can supply the infrastructure that they need. For the ones that need more engineering help, the service level 2 customers, the smaller customers that need a little hand-holding, we go a little bit beyond what Ben talked about with the evaluation of vehicles, and we actually look at sites. We determine what has to happen at this site to make the fleet go from a theoretical fleet to an operational fleet. So you'll see fleet conversion plans that come out of the service level 2 offering. And as the electric utility provider, we think it's not only essential that we engage customers early in this process, but it's important that we provide some level of service to them so they don't have to make a heavy investment just to find out if it's the right thing to do. So we're basically providing fleet advisory services for free for customers that go ahead and implement some kind of an implementation in electrification. So it's a great deal. I'd encourage everybody here to check it out. JEA did not have in-house expertise that was able to tackle this program all on our own. So we went out and we found a tremendous firm, Resource Innovations. There's a couple folks here with Resource Innovations. I hope you'll run into them. Tommy, if you lift your hand up. Yeah, it's from Spain. And Resource Innovations brings together the ability for JDA to have boots on the ground, to do these site evaluations and to figure out what fleets are good for fleet evaluations. And then we have another firm, AECOM, which is an engineering firm, done a lot of really great work on the West Coast and other places in electrification. And the two firms together offer us a pretty comprehensive program where we can get the answers that fleet owners need to figure out whether electrification is right for them. Here's just a few, and this is, I wanted to kind of finish with this. This is a look at some of the fleets that we're involved with right now. This slide kind of matriculates from the left to the right. On the right, these are actual projects that are ongoing. So these are customers that have made a commitment to electrify some or all of their fleet. JDA is busy with Resource Innovations and AECOM putting together fleet conversion plans. In most cases, although Amazon is a service level 1, they came in with all the help they needed. They're able to do on their own pretty much everything. Big part of this is if they show up at hour 11 and say, hey, we need service for 400 medium-duty delivery trucks to do last-mile delivery, we're going to say that's fine. We'd be glad to supply that load, but it'll be about 2.5 years before we can do it. So absolutely vital for us in our customer service effort and operation as a utility to be able to get that information early, to talk to people about how long is it going to be for us to be able to meet your timeline, and how can we phase utility infrastructure in to get you where you need to go. So those conversations are just essential that they happen early on before before companies make huge decisions, we need to find out where they are on the timeline. So lots of leads over here. You'll see a couple of Student Transportation of America and another bus supply company that service Duval County School Board. Both have potential projects on the board, so huge just feather in the cap for Duval County School Board to be able to have electrified school buses so the kids don't get those particulates when they're sitting at the school stop, bus stop. Here's my contact information, as well as if you have a fleet, I'd recommend that you go to the TCO calculator and check it out. It's a robust tool that will help you figure out for yourself if you can save money on electrification.